Signs of catastrophe in the natal birth chart, the case of Adolf Hitler. This is what we're going to do in this video. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome. Today I'm going to discuss the astrology of a very notorious and infamous figure. Not much needs to be said about Hitler. Everybody knows who Hitler is, obviously a very contested figure as well. And we're going to look at the astrology in order to do three things in this video. Number one, I'm going to show you the signs of catastrophe in the birth chart. Now, this is something that I can tell you for sure 99.9% of astrologers cannot do. If you look at the analyses of astrologers on Hitler, on somebody like Hitler, then you'll see that they're kind of at a loss for words. They can't tell how come that somebody with this chart can be this really catastrophic figure, this kind of cataclysmic figure where, you know, millions and millions of people are going to find their demise and all of the horrors associated with the figure. They can't tell you when they look at the chart. And I will show you in this video how you can actually find out and how you can actually pinpoint these signs because they are there in the astrology. Number two, I'm going to tell you what the celestial divine judgment is on Hitler. Why? Because, well, these days we are in a time when a lot of certainties and a lot of truths, previously accepted truths, are getting questioned and are getting recast. Even the ones where we thought they would never be moved, that they would never be touched. They're also, you just need to be on X and just be active a little bit on X and you'll know what I mean. Everything is being questioned. Now in this process, people are even going there. People are even going there to, you know, to try to change the interpretation of how Hitler should be seen by history. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to look at the astrology because there we find the celestial judgment, the divine celestial judgment on the intentions of the soul as it has been pursuing its goal for incarnations and incarnations. We can see that in the astrology. So we can get some, let's say, some objective, you know, perspective on things. Some bird's eye view, God's eye view perspective on things. This is what we can do with astrology. We're going to do this in this video. And number three, the third thing that we're going to do is I'm going to give you some hints and some insights on what eventually happened with Hitler. Like there is some, you know, there's a lot of theories out there on what happened. You know, was he killed? Did he kill himself in that bunker in Berlin or did he get away? And we're going to look at that too in the astrology. So that's all what you're going to learn in this video, really packed with insight. So let's start with the first point, which is that I mentioned that most astrologers are not able to tell you anything substantial or interesting about a chart like Hitler's. So when you look at the chart, yeah, I got the chart here, and I'm not kidding. You know, there's people on YouTube who have 50,000 views on videos where they talk about Hitler and they tell you nothing substantial at all. They can't tell you. They can't tell you. Like, I just invite you to go and check for yourself and see. This is really a test for whether astrologers are capable in their craft or not. Why? Because when you look at a chart like Hitler's, you know, if you don't have the tools that allow you to have a much deeper insight, what are you going to say? You know, you're going to say, okay, so this guy is, you know, he's got like, he's super creative, right? He's got a Mars-Venus conjunction in Taurus. Like this is an artist, a creator, a charmer, right? Somebody who should be very sexual in their energy, right? With Mars-Venus conjunction. And he's very much focused on others, right? On like, you know, addressing people as directly one-to-one as you know, speaking to everybody in such a way that they think that they're being spoken to directly, which is here the Sun and Mercury on the descendant, right? And he likes, you know, he's a bit conservative and he's got like, you know, he's got a very kind of generous emotional life and he should be liked by his people, right? Which is here with the Jupiter moon. And, you know, he might get into some trouble here and there because of his overbearing kind of passion, right? This is passion, and that's like in a square with Saturn, right? So he might get into some trouble sometimes with being too passionate, right? And you might also speak a bit erratically, right, with this opposition here. But that's all. That's all they can tell you. Literally, that's all they can tell you. Like literally, this could be your guy next door, yeah, some dude next door, and they can't tell you more than this, because if you just simply look at the aspects and the placements in the houses and all of that, we don't have the information. The information is not there, right? The information is not there on that level that people read charts. And this is 99.9% of astrologers that read charts on this level. And they will try to find something there. They will say, oh, if it's if it's the Uranus is in the 12th house and it's in Libra, then it's going to have some really bad effects with, if also there is a quincunx there coming from Mars and so on. They will kind of try to read into the chart something that's not there, because otherwise they can't tell you. Or what actually most people do, they don't even go there. They don't even go there. And this is the biggest astrologers out there. They don't go there. They don't tell you. They don't look into historical charts, because they know exactly that they can't tell you anything of substance. Now, when you look into a chart like I do, and like I will teach you how to do, and you bring in the parameters that actually allow you to say something about a chart, which is the fixed stars and the asteroids, right? Primarily, right? You have added basically a ton of extra factors, many layers of additional information, which were previously completely missing from the chart. We have added them here now. So have a look at this now. Now, this is a chart where I can start to understand why this person has had this catastrophic effect, like absolutely catastrophic effect on history, right? So what do we have here? The fixed stars, I haven't even put all of them in there because there was so much stuff, but you have to sometimes make a choice of what you put in the chart. So the fixed stars in generally speaking, before I give you the analysis, in the fixed stars, they give you the parameters, the general parameters, right? They tell you basically like, here is the cosmic effect of what this person can do. Here's the outlines of within which they can move. And the asteroids, they tell you nuances to the story, right? They give you tons of nuances for all of the planetary placements that allow you only to understand the planetary placements. So when you look at this chart now, what we see here is a very different picture. So let's start by going into this. First of all, his sun. We start with the sun. You got the sun here, right? The sun in the first degrees of Taurus, okay? This is the sun in the first couple of degrees of Taurus. And it's in direct opposition to the fixed star Princeps. You see here, Princeps is in the first couple of degrees of Scorpio, right? So for fixed stars, we only look at oppositions and conjunctions, right? And if you are going to have somebody who has any type of big historical effect, there's always going to be the royal fixed stars involved. So there's some stars that are royal fixed stars, right? I'm going to teach you how to do this yourself in future. There's going to be a lot of offerings where I teach you and where I can show you how to find this for yourself as well. But the royal fixed stars are basically that give you historical importance in what you're doing. So we got Princeps here, right? Princeps, and Princeps stands for the boss, right? The leader, the boss, kind of the number one guy in that whatever field it is that it's activated, right? And we got the sun. So the sun direct opposition to Princeps, okay? And the sun is with what? It's with Imperatrix, Robin Hood. You see here, asteroid Imperatrix, and Robin Hood, and you actually have Stalingrad and Phaeton here as well. I'm going to talk about these in a bit. Hanuman, okay, Hanuman, Imperatrix, Robin Hood. Imperatrix, like the leader who has like the ambitions or aspirations of an emperor, right? The emperor. So the emperor who sees himself as a fighter for the people, for the cause of the people, like Robin Hood, like who fights for the underdog or like the people who are downtrodden, right? And he is the boss in this, right? He's the boss as the emperor who sees himself as fighting for the underdogs and as fighting the just cause, like Hanuman. That's how he sees himself. But this is in opposition to Asmodeus and Lempo on Princeps. Okay, and these are close to the ascendant, right? So what is this? Asmodeus is the Lord of Demons. The Lord of Demons, right, is one of the most malefic influences that you can have. And Lempo is another Lord of Demon, is a Germanic or Northern name. Asmodeus is a Middle Eastern entity, and Lempo is a Northern entity. So we're talking about 2 times here on the ascendant, on Princeps, the signs of somebody who is the boss of demonic energies, right? Who is a boss of demonic energies, and whose demonic energies that he commands, right? Princeps is also commander, right? That he commands, the demonic energies that he commands flow into his persona as an emperor, right? As an emperor of the downtrodden, right? Who sees himself as fighting a big war, right? Like Hanuman, right? And there's Stalingrad and Phaeton here. Phaeton stands for defeat. Phaeton stands for failure. So Phaeton, you always have to go back to the original mythology to understand the meaning of the names. And the names are basically markers for archetypes inside universal consciousness, which is why when the asteroids get named, they get named after those markers by universal consciousness that we're a part of. So Phaeton, it was the son of Helios. The Helios is the god of the sun in the ancient Greek mythology, and his son, S-U-N, the son of the sun, right? S-O-N, the son of the sun. Now you got it right. So you know what I mean. The son of the sun, he wants to take over the chariot to ride the vehicle, the solar vehicle that takes the sun around Earth. And his father Helios says, no, you can't do it. You're not experienced enough. This is too big a task for you. You can't do it. And he says, no, I'm going to do it. And he does it, and he does it catastrophically. The sun veers off the course. It goes left and right, goes too far, comes too close to the earth, burning the earth or freezing the earth. And it's basically throwing the whole world into chaos until Zeus sends a lightning bolt and kills him, right? And this asteroid basically stands for failure and defeat because of hubris, taking a task that's too big for yourself, right? And this is on his son, together with what? With Stalingrad, right? Stalingrad, if you know a little bit about the history, of the World War, of the Second World War, I don't need to say much more about Stalingrad, why that's there on his son, together with Phaeton, right? Very clearly written in the chart. What else? Now, he's got here the Mars Venus conjunction that I talked about, right? The passionate artist, right? The passionate artist that I talk about. This is together with Fraternitas, Nietzsche, Caesar, Machiavelli. Okay? You see this here? So these are all the asteroids that are giving you the nuances, right? Before that, if you don't have these nuances, you're only talking about, he's an artist, he likes art, whatever, right? So you can't really tell what is he using his creative energy for, or what is the intention of the soul when it comes with regards to the use of those creative energies. Why did it have those creative energies? So we're talking about somebody who creatively, right, creates a brotherhood, which is a Nietzschean brotherhood, right? Nietzsche was obviously, he the philosopher of who wrote the Antichrist, and whose thoughts really lead to a type of supremacism, right? Philosophical supremacism. You can talk about it a lot, that's not what he meant, and he's misunderstood, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, that's what he stands for. That's what he saw himself as, a supremacist. And Caesar, right? Caesar, again, another type of emperor. And Machiavelli, right? The power games and the power thinking, right? So he creates a Machiavellian brotherhood of supremacists, of which he is the Caesar, right? This is written here, okay? That's written in the chart. That's what he uses his creative energy for, right? And now, what else do we got? We've got here the Pluto and Neptune conjunction. This is very important. This is historical. right? This is a big cycle. It only happens every 200 something years. And Pluto Neptune, it stands for the darkest unconscious energies that can be spiritual, right? So dark unconscious spiritual energies, right? Pluto Neptune, the beginning of the cycle. So dark unconscious spiritual energies, which he channels into the zone of transgressions and magic and ritual, which is the 8th house, right? And what's that with? It's with Circe. Circe is a goddess of black magic in Greek mythology, right? Then you have Teutoburgerwald. Teutoburgerwald is a symbol of Germanic national identity. Teutoburgerwald, the Schlacht from Teutoburgerwald is like the foundation of Germanic identity. The Germans fighting against the Romans and stuff. And then you got Phantomas. Phantomas stands for charlatan. Okay, so what do you got here? And Sauron. Sauron, Sauron maybe from the Lord of the Rings, like the magician who oversees everything, or the dark magic lord that oversees everything. All of these are with his Pluto Neptune. Okay, so the black magic, the dark magic wielder or lord or charlatan of black magic, who draws his strength and bewitches the Germans, the Germanic people, the Teutoburgerwald. That's written here too. Okay, now this constellation right here that I showed you, okay, it's not done yet. It stands in opposition to this right here, right? This placement right here in Sagittarius. So this is the direct opposition, right? So you have the Pluto Neptune in the 8th house, right? Which is drawing on the dark, unconscious, spiritual energies, right? In order to bewitch and cast magic on and through the Germanic people, right? And that's in an opposition to the fixed star Antares, right? This is Antares here. This is in the 7th or 8th degree of Sagittarius, right? So fixed stars move very, very slowly because of the precession of the equinox and so on. But, this is basically 60, 80 years ago, whatever, when it is 100 years ago that Hitler was born. It's pretty close to where Antares would be now. Antares stands for war. Antares means the anti-Aries, right? The opponent of Aries. Aries, the god of war. Antares is the one who opposes, right? Aries opposes the god of war, right? So it kind of stands for violence and war, and also calamity in war, right? Because when you oppose the god of war, it's like normally there's not the best kind of outcomes in that, right? Because Aries obviously is supreme in war, right? So Antares is here, and you have Gong Gong. Gong Gong is a Chinese mythological figure. It stands for massive destruction, right? Great massive destruction. Gong Gong tried to destroy the world, right? Because of some type of insult or some kind of being upset. Gong Gong was upset that he couldn't take over from the emperor, and then he decided to destroy the world, basically, right? And he didn't really succeed, but he did a lot of damage to the world, right? And you got Pandora here. Pandora is what? Pandora's box, right? Pandora's box in mythology opens, and all the evils of the world come out of Pandora's box, right? So you have here the symbol of a war, right? A great war, Antares, which brings catastrophic destruction and lots of evils spread around the world, right? This is here, and this is in opposition to that black magic that I just told you before, that we talked about before, right? The black magic that's cast on the Germanic people, right? And even more, like there's so much in this chart that, again, as I've been telling you, 99.9% of astrologers will completely miss, right? And I challenge you, go and check out what other astrologers are saying about Hitler. See if they can give you even a fraction of the insight that you're getting here, right? So then even more, like you have Vienna on the IC, right? This is where he comes from, right? And you have here Josephus Flavius, right? Who is from the people that Hitler, who's like a historian who was an important figure in the history of the people that Hitler went against. I'm not going to name them for certain reasons, but you know yourself. That's the background. Vienna and the exposure to the people that he went against. There, you can see this here, actually. Can you see it? Yeah, you couldn't see it, but now you should be able to see it. Okay, so that's the background where he comes from. And now let's go to the question of what happened to him, right? What happened to him eventually? And for that, we have to look into the placements on the MC and the top, basically, of the chart, okay? So let's just recap this before I tell you this, right? Let's just recap this. So in the chart, I just showed you how we moved from an interpretation, which was basically just, okay, this guy is, some artist who's going to have a little bit of trouble with his passion, right? But who's going to be loved by his people and be a good speaker and all of that, right? We moved from that into a so much deeper interpretation. I didn't even tell you all the things. His Mercury is on Mirak, which also stands for, extremely powerful oration, right? Mirak, the fixed star Mirak, it gives kind of magical energy to whatever stands on it. And he had Mercury there, so the magical orator, yeah. I didn't even tell you all the details yet, but I showed you with the analysis that I did that, in fact, the celestial judgment about Hitler is that he was somebody who, for many lifetimes before already, had worked towards this, of being in power over and through demonic entities, right? He was working with demonic entities, and they were clearly present in his life, right? You just need to see that, how he was shaking and having the signs of an obsessed person. And they were also present in his regime, in the government that he created. This is not a man of God. This was not a man of God. He was not with Christ. He was not doing the work of God. He was doing the work of demons. He was with demons. He was acting and enacting through and with demonic entities. And I just showed you this. That's the celestial judgment. That's the celestial judgment of his soul over many lifetimes and incarnations. Now, to the question of what happened to him eventually, what happened to Hitler eventually, we have to go to the MC, as I said. And we've got here, again, there's so much more that I even didn't go into, like Saturn with Verdun, right? Verdun is the big defeat of the First World War, right? And his Saturn is there, right? So Saturn, the big lessons in life, the big challenges in life, his greatest challenge that he faced, his greatest kind of hindrance that he experienced for himself was the defeat of the Germans in the First World War, right? Saturn in 10 with Verdun. But now look here. On his MC, the MC tells you what happens to somebody when it's all said and done, right? Once it's all said and done, like once the lifetime is over and it's all been written, what's the cosmic verdict on the final fate of the person? It can show you how somebody will be seen eventually by history, but also basically how their life ends, right? IC is where you come from, right? And I showed you that. You had like Vienna and so on. And MC is where you go to in life, right? We have the IC-MC axis, right? Where you come from, where you go to. And what do we have here? We have here Tyche, Roman god Tyche, right? Actually, that's the Greek version of a Roman, Roman, you have usually both of the names. It's the other way around. Obviously, the Greek were first, so the Greeks are going to be upset if I say the Greek version of the Roman god. It's actually the other way around, right? The Greeks were first. So Tyche is the god of fortunate events. Fortunate events. Auspicious, fortunate events. Okay? Twists and turns of fate and destiny that are fortunate. Okay, what else? You've got here as well, refugium and ate. Okay, ate stands for conspiracies. Conspiracies. Refugium, well, stands for refuge. Okay, so we have Tyche with refugium with ate. Okay, so a fortunate turn of events through which, in a conspiratorial way, in a way that is a conspiracy, you find refuge. Okay, so when we put these elements together, according to the astrology, it is not unlikely that Hitler actually got away. And there's a lot of theories out there that he went to Argentina, that he lived in Argentina still until whatever, the 50s, 60s. There is a lot of, actually there's some classified documents that were declassified later as well by American Secret Services, which point in this direction. You know, there's the whole story of the Americans taking over large parts of the entire Nazi apparatus, right, after the war, in order to, you know, build out their own secret services, the entire network of spies that they had, the rocket scientists who basically were brought to Houston to build, you know, the NASA rockets and stuff. There's a lot of stories and there's a lot of depth on this, a lot more to, you know, discover and look through and look into. But I'm going to leave it at this for now in this video. I think we've done a lot. You know, we've unlocked and uncovered a lot. And let me know who you want to see, what you want to see next. We can bring so much light into historical events, into historical episodes. And we can do this together. You can tell me what you want to see, and we can kind of have a conversation going on and have a collaborative exploration going on here as well. In time, I actually look forward to teaching some of this to you. Let me know in the comments if you want to learn how to do this type of astrology, if you want to learn how to apply this type of astrology in your own analyses. Let me know in the comments. I'm working on something where you can learn very systematically. Also, know that I'm open for consultations now. There is spots that are open that you can see. The links will be given to you and you'll be able to find those. And until the next time, I wish you all the best and be well and be blessed.